records. The commissioners that are here now is Commissioner Dueñas. Commissioner Sanchez is going to be coming in online. Okay. And the chairman, Francis, is in the bond market. Commissioner Limtiaucu is on vacation. Okay, and I'm Commissioner Peter Roy Martinez. And with that, also, I want to recognize our GWA. Tom Cruz, you're the man in charge today, and Chris, there, our legal counsel, and Gilda, and just one more time, just to Brad. Hi, Brad. Good morning. Good to see you. Okay. So with that, why don't we just go ahead and start with the resolution. Tom, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. There's 5 resolutions we're going to go over this morning, and I'm going to defer to a couple of other people on the table here, since they're subject matter experts. And the first one is Resolution 43 FY25, relative to approval of design contract for the deep wells PFAS and emergent contaminants treatment. This is an engineering resolution, and I'm going to defer to Brett to go over this particular resolution.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
So as most of us are aware, the EPA has promulgated new regulations for PFAS and water systems that become effective in 2029. And so to do the upgrades that are necessary to our system to be able to treat these contaminants that we are aware are showing up in a few of the wells in our system. We need to do some design work for that treatment, and that's what this resolution is for. It's to get a designer on board. To assist us in putting design packages together, we'll need to add treatment island-wide to address these PFAS and emerging contaminant issues.
We put a RFP out.
We put an RFP out. There were a number of A&E firms that responded. We put together an evaluation committee that selected the preferred A&E. We negotiated with them, and we have a cost and scope together. And so this resolution is to approve GWA to use the grant funding that we have to enter into a contract and begin that design work. I believe that the total required funding is around $12 million, and that includes a 10% contingency for the design of the treatment system.
So Commissioners, if I can jump in. This is a 5-year, right, from 2029.
2029 is the deadline, USPA deadline to have treatment in place to treat for these contaminants. So as I think we've discussed this previously, we have 3 wells, 2 of which are currently shut down in 2025, and AS1, which already has a treatment system on it, that were above the health advisory limit that USPA came out with a few years ago. But the new regulations are down to 4 nanograms per liter for most of these contaminants. So we end up having to put additional treatment at multiple wells around the island to deal with that new lower level of regulation that will come into effect in 2029.
May I inquire how does PFAS go into our water wells?
Well, PFAS is a family of chemicals, and so there are lots of products that have PFAS containing materials. One of the primary contamination routes is believed to be firefighting foam.
some forms of PFAS are used as foaming agents in firefighting foams, so lots of military bases and airports, because of their historical use of firefighting training with these foams, have contamination not just in Guam, but throughout the U.S. But these PFAS chemicals are in cosmetics. They're used for treating fabrics to be stain and water repellent. They're in a lot of different consumer products. So the sources of these potential contaminants are numerous.
I just want to put my 2 cents on this PFAS thing because I know that it's chemical and we find PFAS everywhere, even in the shirt we wear.
The cooking utensils, the cooking pans that we have, we can find PFAS, and almost in every product that man has made. And we spent a lot of money in this. Now, I like to see EPA also
look into the source of where this is coming from because we spent the people's money in rectifying things and chemicals that were created by our situation, and then again I just don't want to look at EPA as a bully's way around just because of samples here that is tolerable as samples. I know it's water is very crucial that it's tested with its pH and everything, and make sure it's public drinkable. But again, as I read and I studied into this PFAS thing, you can find PFAS on everything that we can put our hands on, including the shoes we wear, what we drive, and almost in everything. It's integrated.
And so I like to
see that in the future that
this big
corporation that are integrating chemicals into the system will be the one to rectify this situation, because there's contaminants everywhere, including the toothpaste that we use today. There's things in there. Mercury, they said it's very little, but it's still chemical that's harmful to the human body.
And so I just hope
in the future that we don't have to really spend all this amount for But I think there's got to be a way in the future that we can try to catch these things before it goes into our tanks, And again, I'm not the expert on this, but
one thing I know is just like
emission, we can ground and power companies and waterworks and give them fees and threats and things like this. But I like to see something deeper, in the system and research why and how this being spread around and where the source is coming from, and try to hit it right on the root of the cause, not just do the band-aid solution, trying to rectify the end results, and then the people suffers the payment to pay for this cost.
Thank you. Just for the record, let me just indicate that Commissioner Sanchez Simon is online. Morning. Guy's there. Right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He made a note he can hear us.
He said he can hear.
Okay. Brent, just one question.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. Simon, do you have any questions?
No. I totally agree with Commissioner Duenas. In a perfect world, it'd be great to stop all these chemicals from getting into the system. But because they're everywhere, I don't know how you're going to do it. At least what's good is out of our 100 wells or 90 wells that are active, only 2 or 3 are showing PFAS above the certain level. So that's the 2 or 3 we're focusing on. That means that 98% of the wells are okay. They're not showing PFAS at the level that concerns people. So let's focus on these 2 or 3. I just don't know how you're going to stop chemicals that are everywhere from seeping into the water, even though we would like to do that. So for now, we have to do it this way, in my view.
Okay. Brett, I was going to ask, to comply with EPA, we have to complete everything by 2029.
April 2029 is the current deadline.
Yeah. And so by by 2027, we would have already traded many of these or worked on this. The number here at the beginning in April 27, in 2027.
Correct. So this is a design procurement where we're going to get the A&E on board to assist us in determining the appropriate cost-effective treatment methodology and then do the design work needed to construct those treatment systems where they need to be constructed in the system.
And 12 million is needed for that.
For this, that's correct. And then following the completion of this design work, we expect to spend tens of millions of dollars installing the treatment that gets designed under this project.
Okay.
I think the total estimated cost is like $200 million.
Yeah,
That's in our current projections and our rate plan. But the team has already identified the total cost will be close to $200 million. Is that correct, Brett?
That's correct. It will definitely be north of 100 million, closer to 200 million.
Yeah, so unfortunate that we have to do it, but so far that's the only way anyone has been able to do it, is to treat the water before it's distributed to the public.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's go to the next one.
All right, Commissioners, the next resolution is Resolution 45, FY 25, relative to updating authorized signatories for execution of payments and financial transactions on behalf of the Guam Water Works Authority. This resolution, the objective of this resolution is to update the list of GWA personnel authorized to sign financial instruments, including checks, letters of credit, bank transfers, and other transaction documents, and to approve payments on behalf of the authority. This update is necessary and urgent due to recent changes in GWA management and to ensure uninterrupted financial operations. The resolution designates assistant general managers as authorized signatories because they are often designated as acting general manager and must be able to fulfill the associated financial responsibilities without delay. And maybe in a nutshell, Commissioners, Brett is our new Assistant General Manager for Engineering, and so we're adding Brett to the list. Yes.
Okay, any questions? None? Okay, next.
All right. The next resolution, Resolution 46 FY 25, it's a joint resolution with GPA. It's relative to the annual acknowledgement in writing by each commissioner of the standing rules of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. And I'm going to defer to Mary Ann to go over this particular resolution.
So this is a resolution that was requested, I believe, by Commissioner Lim Xiaoko. And this is nothing new, I believe, to any of the commissioners. The commissioners have already signed off that they agree to abide by the standing rules. And all this does is just make that agreement annual. So like every year after the first meeting, you will sign off that you agree to abide by these standing rules. And the standing rules are what governs this body. It's how you conduct your meetings. It's how you conduct yourselves. It's helpful to the utilities, to the board, and to the public, and to the ratepayers. So it's a good thing.
I'm the newbie here, so I just want to kind of mention something, because is this from the agency or is this among the commissioners for the standing rule?
So the commissioners will be the ones acknowledging annually the standing rules, because they apply to how the CCU is governed.
Okay, I really respect order and organization. That's why I was able to garner the 4 leadership award in the military in the 4 academies that I attended. And so rules is great, and I agree for every rules, but rules also can be politicized and used to coerce and bully people around. So I just want to make mention that I'm kind of new in this, and so I did read and peruse through the standing rule, but I haven't really studied, into it, into the detail, and I think it's nice if, somebody knew that I can be able to discuss and refine maybe some of the things, because sometimes we have so many things so many rules, and people don't follow the rules that is implemented. I really believe in just the simplified rules like the 10 Commandments, and it's easy to follow. And it's, I always hear that we're all big boys in here, and we're all mature, and we want to work together for the public, and we're voted from the public, and we're accountable to the people of Guam. But I like a rule that, as a Christian, that in Ecclesiastes it says that let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter, to fear God and to keep his commandment, because God will bring into work every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether it's good or evil. We will give an account in the judgment. And I fear, breaking, because I want to be answerable to, in the end. But I would like to read and study a little bit into this more, so that I'm more grounded and be governed by something. So, Mr. Chair, can we give a little bit more time or rather than vote this for today, or
Well,
is it?
Yeah, let me just bring it up. As you know, the standing rules has been established ever since, and it's just a matter
Already,
of Commissioner Limtialco putting it forward that every year we acknowledge the standing rules, and that acknowledgement is by our signatures. If there's anything that needs to be changed or to be discussed, those are the times that we can sit down and say, okay, maybe something with this, regards to this, that we should look at, and everything, and with the help of council and management on both water and power, and then we can come up and revise a little bit on the standing rules. But I think for now, it's been there, and just us acknowledging that, yes, the standing rules are here. I would suggest, and because I haven't read all of it also, but most of it I've been reading it. The thing there is to anything that you're not familiar with, or something that you want to question, or what council is here, if it relates to management on both entity, please.
Yeah,
give them a
Council, if I
call,
could.
And let, you can sit down and maybe spend half a day here and just kind of go over it.
Go through it thoroughly.
But
Thank
for
you.
now,
If I can make an appointment with that. Because, like I said, sometimes I don't mean to break any standing rule, but I didn't even know how you get, for example, your paycheck, when you get your paycheck. And so I didn't know if it was GWA or POAG, and so knowing, I used to work for GPA. So I was, for example, in the bank and trying to get an approval in the sales, and they just needed an extra income that I am in the CCU. So they just asking, for example, what's this, a check stub or something, and verification that I'm into this. So I didn't make a phone call, and I think I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to go through the channel, but I did call, the payroll and ask for a favor, if possible, that I can get something that I can just show for it, so that they can. But I didn't know I was breaking a standing rule, for example, and I'm not as thorough. So I'm asking if we can grant grace for some people that are not very thorough and not intending to break the rule, but intentional, but be able to discuss first and give them a leeway, so that we can grow for people that are not very familiar.
I just want to say that Teresa and I are here to answer any questions that you have. So you can approach us at any time, email, phone, in person, whatever. We're available to answer your questions. And I also want to emphasize that this is not some sort of punitive standing resolution. It's just an acknowledgement that that the rules are the rules, and that we're going to do our best to follow them. That's all it is. It's not there to you know, to make anyone feel bad or
Yeah.
anything like that.
And you can find the standing rules where?
They are on the CCU's website.
Okay,
so
we'll read it again.
ccuguam.org.
Is there a rule there that if 3 commissioners, they can vote out the other, and one could, they can team up and vote?
You know,
vote one out?
the commissioners can change the rules too. If there's a rule that you think needs to be changed, that is something that could be done by the CCU itself. The CCU passed the rules, and it can change the rules.
Wonderful. So,
Okay.
There's nothing in the rules that would allow any group of commissioners to vote out a colleague. The law that elects all of us doesn't allow for that. You've earned your term, as we all have, and none of our rules could violate that law for whatever reason. No 3 CCU members have the power to remove a fellow colleague. All this is just to verify that we read the rules at least once a year. And if we want to make changes, you can do that at any meeting. You can propose changes to the rules. It's really as council is advised, it's just a guidepost that we've adopted. It can be changed, and there's no way you can be removed by any of us. That's not in the rules. If you have a chance to read the rules, that's not in the rules, right?
Yeah,
Nor would it be allowed by law.
thank you, Commissioner. It's just nice to be able to work together and, respect, the culture's rules is, we respect each other, and we are merciful to each other, and we discuss things, and we grow together to represent the public correctly. So, but yeah, I will again study it more thoroughly. It's just that I don't want to be voting something that I'm not very, very grounded yet. So that's my fault. So I need to spend more time. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go into the next resolution, Tom.
All right, Commissioner, the next resolution, 47 FY25, relative to approval of amendment for the indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity professional project/construction management services contract for Duenas Camacho and Associates. And again, I'm going to just defer to Brett to go over some of the details related to this resolution.
So Commissioners, under the IDIQ Professional Construction and Project Management contract that we have with Duenas Camacho and Associates, one of the task orders, task order number 11, is a task order they have to assist us in doing the utility planning and surveying work on the lots across the street where the proposed hospital is going to be constructed. And so this resolution authorizes a change order to task 11 to add approximately $1.16 million in additional funding that Duenas will use to do some geotechnical work on that property to attempt to identify viable sites for future well development. So it will involve drilling into the ground and then pump testing to see if there is sufficient quality and quantity of water available, so that again, we hope to be able to construct a minimum of 3 new wells to support both the site across the street and the surrounding community.
Discussion? None? Okay, so this is just to amend the existing contract.
To a change order to an existing task order under the IDIQ professional services contract.
So they
with
do have the
GCA.
contract already?
The contract is already in place. This is just adding scope and funding to
Obviously,
address the issue with
Sure.
the wells.
All right.
Okay. That's it? Okay, next one, Tom?
All right, Commissioners, the last resolution, Resolution 48, FY '25, relative, Resolution 48, FY '25, relative to approval of additional funding for the Fujita Sewer Pump Station Rehabilitation and Redundant Force Main Design Project. Again, this is another engineering CIP, and I'm going to defer to Brett to just go over more of the details.
All right, change order number 3. The initial project that was awarded was for the redundant force main from the Fujita sewer pump station. We came back previously and added rehabilitation of the Fujita sewer pump station to the scope. Change order number 2, there is an old, currently abandoned former pump station on site that I believe was formerly referred to as the Tumon sewer pump station. And so change order 2 was to add the funding for us to do an assessment of that station to see if it was feasible to rehabilitate it. And the idea was to end up with redundant capacity because that Fujita sewer pump station is so critical to keeping all of the Tumon Tourist District functioning. And so the assessment has been completed, and we believe that it is a viable option to rehabilitate that pump station. And so this change order number 3 is adding the funding necessary to add the scope to the design contract, so the designer will design the rehabilitation that is necessary, so that at the end of this project we will have a redundant force main and redundancy in the Fujita sewer pump station that serves most of Tumon Bay. There is currently contingency in the existing contract, and so the cost to add the design work is approximately $610,000. The contingency will cover a portion of that, so we're asking for an additional $406,000 to cover the $610,000 that'll be needed, because some of that money is already in the contract in contingency. But then we're asking for additional money above that to add some contingency back into the contract so that we have the ability to address any other issues that come up during the remainder of the design work. So the new authorized amount with change order 3 and the 10% contingency being added back into the contract is $2.9 million.
So what are they do? They're going to change, they redesign the whole thing and install a new pump, or they're going to?
Well, so the current existing Fujita pump station was constructed adjacent to the old station that at the time was abandoned. And so they had sealed the wet well with concrete, and it was just sitting there abandoned. So we have gone into that area. We've taken some photos and done some assessments, and the designer has come back, and we believe it is feasible to rehabilitate that. It's going to require some rehabilitation to the concrete in the wet well. It's going to require new electrical controls, new pumps. It's going to have to be coordinated with the existing station. So all that design work needs to be added into both the scope of this project, which is the design, and then when it comes time for construction, we'll have to have the construction plans include all of the work that's needed. But at the end of this, we will have a redundant force main and a redundant capacity at the sewer lift station.
It's good to have a pump down there. But do we have the maintenance crew to be able to do this thing internally, to resurrect that pump? Is it too complicated to be able to?
At this point, the way that it was abandoned, it needs to be permitted through through the construction process and completely rebuilt. So it's not something that we could handle internally. This needs to go to design and construction.
Yeah, Commissioner, the procurement even of certain electrical components and pumps and motors, it'll sort of get a little bit more, complicated and convoluted, that design engineer as well as a contractor, right, that we would eventually bring on board would be able to, kind of handle it than our
Understand.
internal people.
The way we used to do it before is we make the designer do it, and then we have our maintenance or electrical crew that's able to, wire it up and, install the panels and run whatever pipes is needed. At least in GPA before, this is to save costs. But that's when we're talking a huge amount of money like that, it's good to try to, see what we can do because I think we do have good people that are inside the system that can have expertise to be able to chip in and chime in into this project,
Right. Following construction and turnover of this project, then it will fall to GWA crews to operate and maintain the system.
All right.
Okay, that's it, no?
That's it, sir, for the resolutions. We'd be happy to go over the GM's report.
Sure, okay. Is that okay with you, Simon and Commissioner Dueñas? Yep, okay,
Okay, and so maybe we just also highlight just some of the.
yeah, that's good.
So the GM report covers May and June. You'll notice that. And so for our, in the operations update, just moving through the GM's report, our production for May and June are, consistent. We're in the 39 million gallons a day production. And we have, I'm sorry, the production of all of this water, we had, of the 120 wells that we have out there for June, or May and June, we've been, consistent with like about 96 to 99 wells, operational. We got a well that pops, fails, we get in there and replace it. So we're, again, averaging in the high 90s of our production wells. And we'll continue to work towards some of the down wells, just getting them up and running and ready for use. Right? Our Tuman Maui well production, again, for May and June, consistent with previous months, right below 1 million gallon a day production. And Tuman Maui, that definitely helps the Tuman areas, all right? For our water distribution, which is our, focuses on our water booster pump stations, in May, we were down at 90% operational pumps and motors, but, we were able to pick that up, to 94.4% in June. And this is, again, like you're asking about our guides and what Brett mentioned, this is on the water side, but, we have, working with our procurement, getting the replacement parts, and, our goal is to obviously stay in the high 90s of our operations of the pumps and motors, all right? Moving on to our water distribution levels, if you notice in the graphs for May and June, you'll notice in May in our northern systems, with the high 90s of our water production wells, we were able to get our water levels, our reservoir levels, consistently in the higher levels. And the reason that's important, if I may say, is that, when we have reservoirs that are kind of riding low, and if there's ever an issue with our production wells, it almost is an immediate impact, right? But if we have reservoirs that are, riding on the higher levels, we do have a little bit of a little bit of time. So you'll notice in the graph that for June, our northern reservoir levels are in, the 60-ish area, and then the southern is, averaging about 45. But I want to point out also that we have some of our reservoirs that are still being worked on, right, Brett? Correct me if I'm wrong? just, we're still working with some of the reservoirs, so because there's zero, they do affect the,
Is there a reason Southern has 45? And
yeah, then,
We have a number of reservoirs in the southern system that are currently offline under repair.
yeah,
under repair?
yeah. So once they get back online and they get filled, then we would definitely see the southern levels, you know, sort of climb again up into the 50-60% percentile, all right? Moving on to our wastewater collection, right, our sewer pump stations. For May and June, we dropped slightly with our operational pumps. And, you know, I'm gonna point out a little bit, you know, compared to we have a lot more sewer pump stations than we have booster pump stations. So there's just the percentage of operational pumps and motors, it's sort of commensurate with the number of stations we have. But you know, again, we working through our procurements to, you know, get pumps, motors rewinded and then pumps fixed and get back in there and.
While you're talking about pumps and motors, since we're also phasing out, you know, Cabras 1 and 2, there's tons of motors and pumps, and I think it's something to look at if we can, you know, work with our sister company, with GPA, and be able to get that into the future. It will be cost effective also to use as a standby or whatever. There's large motors and pumps that can be used for sewage pumps. Like
Definitely,
that.
yeah, something to.
You can,
Yeah, to look into.
rather than just keep buying.
Correct. All right, so moving on to another operational, our wastewater collections CCTV efforts. There's a little bit of we're at the last tail. I mean, actually, we do CCTV and cleaning on a monthly basis, but trying to complete a US EPA requirement, our teams are focused on the last remaining segments of sewer line that are out there to clean and CCTV in order to, you know, meet a EPA, you know, requirement. And on our wastewater treatment plants, you'll notice in May and June, in June there's a climb, 9.5 average flow in June compared to the 8.4. But I think it's fair to say the amount of rain that we've seen, you know, the last few weeks, definitely had picked up the flows flowing through the treatment plant. But I mean, the treatment plants are, you know, designed to handle these flows. I'll move on to our asset management slides. If I may, just sort of quickly running through it.
Sure.
Our equipment PM versus our CM. You notice a lot more PMs are being done, you know, compared to the CMs, which is a good thing.
It's a good thing, yeah, before the
Wanna-
breakdown happens, yeah.
Correct. And so our corrective, moving on, our corrective maintenance work order ratio for leak repairs versus equipment repairs, you notice in the graph, we're about 50-50 between the two. I guess I want to just, you know, that's the quicker we get our repairs of the leaks,
Yeah.
the better. And let me jump on to the One Guam, just some quick high-level updates. Property transfers, Murray Road, quick claim deed. GWA already recorded the quick claim deed, so these essentially these easements that were previously DOD is in actually in GWA's hands. Schofield Heights, which is down near Naval Mag, we're in the process of, you know, working with DOD or NAFAC on these particular easements that are out there. GWA wastewater collection easement system easement at Marble Skaggs. You know, again, another effort of coordinating because we have gravity lines and water and wastewater lines that are interestingly running through military property. So, you know, this One Guam that we have every 2 weeks, you know, we have an opportunity to just work out some of the details with the DOD representatives. Other, I guess we can say notable One Guam efforts you might all know in Route 8 intersection, it's a GWA project, but this valve that we're trying to work on to repair would allow a lot more water to flow south towards Agana and Igua PD, which then can allow us to crank down the Navy water that we're getting from the MEC area. But I'm bringing this up because on the weekends, it has been from 6:30 p.m. to the morning where we have, the work is occurring at night, just so we're not interrupting.
That's
But,
good.
yeah, but as soon as this valve is replaced and we're able to allow more water to flow south, then that means we're gonna allow less water to come from DOD and less costs, for us. But this is, again, this is a notable one because it's big public interruption. But also one of our efforts, even with this one Guam, GWA is assisting, Anderson with a main line break. I guess I'll just say a 20-inch fire line, repair job.
20
Yeah.
is still.
Yeah, so it's it's on, we've gotten the notice to proceed, so, the team is just, coordinating with Anderson and we, and their people, and we'll go and make the repair, and, we saved the day for them, for lack of a better term. All right, and, okay, Commissioners, I think that's pretty much it, our court order. We're in the last 2% of, which is the tanks, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Brett? The quarter is just the tanks, and as soon as those are done, we're done with this effort. Well, at least the CIP efforts. The court order still requires us to do certain operational and monitoring things. All right. Moving on, I'm going to jump over to our leak repair because again, this kind of important to me as the AG.
Leak, yeah.
Yeah, our count. We definitely got our count of pending, down to, less than 20. Very, very manageable, just so that, on a regular basis, our PLU team is out there just knocking out the leaks as soon as they occur, as well as any of the pending ones, right? So we might fix a leak here, but one will pop up somewhere else, and so we have a good team. We have a good team that are just on top of it, and we're maintaining the, well, we're going to do our best to continue to maintain less than 20.
On these leaks that are spring, is it because of corrosion, or is it just, age, deterioration? I just want to be informed, how much of our water source system are still in steel? We're transferring over to PVC, hard PVC, or transferring it through concrete, or, to get through, right?
Correct. Sir, there's still, Brett, if you can, like a lot of asbestos cement pipes, which is the old,
Yeah.
pipes are out there, but we do have working on a CIP to replace asbestos cement pipes. 2-inch galvanized, pipes from the 60s and 70s that are still out there.
How many of that do we still have around? And I know we're planning to replace all of them eventually.
I don't have the numbers with me, but yes, there's miles of undersized line and miles of ACP pipe that we have design projects underway to replace in phases over
It's
the coming
nice to
years.
make plan to replace those things, because every time there's a leak, we have to dig it up, and it traffic, and it's all these different things that affects the public, and it puts a bad image on the agency with all the money that we're asking from the public. But it's good that we have some good preventive maintenance, and so we can pressures are maintained, and be able to have a team to be able to attack the leak right away. But steel pipes and all these other old things, I think eventually has to be phased out using our modern, right?
Yes, sir. I agree with you. And so with that said, that's sort of the operation side of things. I'm going to hand it over to Chris to go over the.
Just have a couple admin slides for you. The first one is our active residential customer accounts receivable due that's greater than 60 days. For the month of May, our accounts receivable increased by about 72,000, and we decreased the number of customers on the list by 2. And then in June, it was a similar increase of about 74,000, and that was an additional 125 customers. So we had several months prior to those months where we had decreased our accounts receivable significantly, and it seems like there's a bit of a trend heading back up the last couple months in the residential receivables. For the commercial segment, we're still have a very low accounts receivable past 60 days. So for the month of May, it increased by about 34,000, but so the number went from 42,000 up to 77,000, which is still way below our historical receivables for anything beyond 60 days. And then for June, we decreased our receivables with commercial segment by about $300. Moving on to customer service, just a few highlights for them. In the month of May, we had average number of active pay plans of 473, which was comparable to the previous month of April, which was 471. Our call center had a weekly average number of telephone calls received in May of about 1,100, and that compared similarly in April, which also had this same amount. And lastly, for May, the customer care section, all the personnel attended a training for contributing to a positive workplace. This training specifically was given to enhance and improve the overall workplace environment. Teaching them 15 specific steps every member can take to create a more positive and healthy work environment, and it included a bunch of team building activities. And then for the month of June, the number of non-payment disconnections per week in June was 64, which was a bit lower than the previous month of 68. And then active pay plans, again, were very similar, 472 in June versus 473 in May. And the call center volume was down significantly. In June, we had 870 calls compared to 1,100 the previous month.
I applaud the training and the upgrade of especially our customer service. We have kind and patient, you deal with different customers, but it's always nice to come into an organization that, are trained correctly so they're able to rectify whatever issue with just listening skills, and so that it's not an authoritative, combative approach, so there's more strife and contention, distaste to the people, and then they to speak, outside among themselves, and it's a bad image. But I appreciate and applaud for the training and the continued follow-up in the workplace, especially when we're dealing and facing with the customers, public.
All right, so commissioners, if it's okay, we can move on to the finance, and Gilda, who's our acting CFO while Talling's out,
Sure.
can maybe go over just some of the highlights.
I'd like to discuss the key financial indicators.
Yeah, put it closer to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Okay. I'd like to discuss the key financial indicators for May and June. And we have this debt service year-to-date as of June, but I'm going to discuss both months, like per the section 612 of the indenture, we are required to maintain 1.25 times, and in May we end up 1.76, and June 1.77, both for the PUC and the CCU inclusive. And the next is the days on cash. We target 120 days, and for May we end up 290 days, as well as June 290 days. For the collection ratio for year-to-date as of May, it was 94%, and in June we end up 93%. This build we had targeted 30 days for May. Month of May is 31 days, and June is 29 days. For the accounts receivable days, our target is 30 days. In May we end up 44 days, and in June 44 days as well. Our target for the accounts payable in days is 45, and in May, we end up 43 days, and in June is 38 days to pay the bill, the vendors. For the water demand, as year to date, we target at 3.8 million, and our May, we have 3.4 million, and June is 3.8. So we hit the target for us of June. For the water flow, year to date, our target is 2.8, and for May we have 2.6, and for June is 2.9. The O&M expenses is at 7.45 as a target, and we have lower expenses in May, 6.6, and in June at 7.2 million. For water customers, our target was 44,000, and current in May we end up 73.8 thousand, and for June we have 43.8 thousand. And wastewater we have targeted at 331,000, and in May is 31.3 thousand, and in June we have 31.229. So overall, I'd like to report also that our revenue compared to our budget, we are 3% higher for the month of June, and compared to last year, we're 12% higher versus last year. And in the O&M side, it's about 7% lower compared to our target, our budget from this year, and then last year it was like, compared to last year, it's 5% higher. So our debt service is, like I said, a healthy 1.77 for the month of June, and our change in net position is at 22.4 million. That's, I think that's
There's the highlights.
the highlights.
That's good. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, none for me.
I just got one question towards this. This is just pertaining to the kind of the locals housing that are, many of it are owned by Gorco, this big corporation that I forget the name of like, for example, some of this big corporation, they would build affordable housing, but then they limit the water for the residents. You can only use so much water per gallon per month, and if you exceed over that by 1 gallon, then they charge the family $100 for penalty. I don't know if they're making money from our water, or because I think water is part of the affordable thing, and they the customers they pay for their power, but if you go just 1 gallon over, then they're penalized, so they're given can they do that? I mean, is there a way that we can help some of this lower income people that they're really limited, and sometimes there's a leak maybe in the faucet or something, and they still get the penalty. They still have to pay extras, and that's the complaint I'm hearing sometimes outside, and I like to see if we can. Is there anything we can do in the future to help some of these people, or maybe visit some of these people that are making money over our water source? Huh?
So Commissioner, with respect to the private companies and how they deal with their tenants, we don't have a lot of control over that, but we are in the process of putting together a proposal to take to the PUC for a customer assistance program, and it's specifically geared towards low-income customers. So there will be some relief for them if it is approved, and if we can find funding for it. So that is on the agenda for us to try to complete this year.
Wonderful.
That's good. Yeah. Did Simon or? Oh, I see. Okay.
steady as we go, which is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Yoga, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you. Tom, what else you got? That's good, yeah. Council, do you have anything? None? Okay, any other discussion from management or Brad? None? Man, I like this. Okay, just a few announcements. Our next meeting, of course, is going to be with GWA, GPA work session, which is Thursday. It's going to be Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. So, again, we'll be here. And our regular CCU regular board meeting will be on the 29th of July at 5:30. And there's no other questions. Want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Simon? Okay, thank you.
Second and third.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Thank you, Commissioner Dueñas. Thank you, everybody. Okay.